We will now go through the steps necessary for you to set up your Gmail account. The first thing you need to do is obviously go to the Google website. You'll do this by typing www.google.com in the address bar. Once you do that, this screen will appear, and over here in the right hand corner you'll see Gmail. If you select Gmail, it will bring you onto this screen where you now have some options. The first thing you need to do is enter your first name and last name. We will now go on to our username. The username here is the details that will appear before @gmail.com. So we spoke about this earlier on in the class, and we stressed the importance of using a combination of words and certain numbers so that it will be unique. So the example that we tried was James Quinn 041169. The 041169 was a date of birth, and the combination of those numbers and James Quinn will hopefully be unique. Remember, there are roughly 1.5 billion people on the planet with Gmail accounts, so you need to find some way of making your name unique. And in my experience, adding a date of birth to your full name usually works. Down here, if you see available, these are options that Google is giving you that are currently free. If you think that you prefer to use one of these images, one of these samples, it's fine, it's no problem whatsoever. If not, just go with the username you've already tried. In this instance, I'm going to stick to James Quinn 041169 @gmail.com. Now we have to enter our password. As soon as you click in here, Google is suggesting that it will create a password for you. As you can see, the password is a combination of small letters, big letters, and also numbers. In my experience, it is a bad idea to accept the securely generated password. It is a very complicated password, which means it's very secure, but unless you write it down correctly, the chances are you're going to forget this password, and then you'll have to start the process of setting up an email account all over again. So instead, what we're going to do is try use the password I suggested earlier on. So I'm going to go with Liverpool #1977. Now, when you are entering a password, you get a series of black dots. It's to keep your password private. Obviously though, you will need to make sure you've typed it in correctly. So what to do is come over here and select this button. This now allows you to see what your password is. As you can see in this password, we have a capital letter. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 14 characters. Okay. They're looking for us to use 8 or more characters with a mixture of letters, numbers, and symbols. So we have letters, numbers, and symbols. We then have to re-enter this password. This is a very standard procedure where you have to re-enter your password, and it's just to ensure that you typed in the correct password the first time around. After this, once you're happy, you have your first name, your last name, you have selected your username, and also your password, and then re-entered it to confirm it. We then select next. Once this screen comes up, would you like Firefox to save this login? My advice to you, if you're using a shared computer, is to always say don't save. It allows your own email account to remain private and is very, very important. So select don't save. Now, Google has given us a couple of options. We have a phone number or we have a recovery email address. What Google is trying to allow for here is the fact that you may well forget your password. If you forget your password and Google either has a phone number for you or an alternative email address for you, they can contact you either by text or by email to let you know what your password was. Now, for my own example, I'm not going to enter in a phone number here. I do have a secondary email address, but you, chances are, will not have another email address. So my recommendation is you enter your own phone number here. And remember, this phone number is kept private. Anybody who you send an email to is not also going to get your phone number. This is just to allow Google to contact you if you forget your password. So now you just need some details on your birthday, April 11th, 1969, similar to my email address here. Gender, male, and then go down the page and then we click next for the next step in setting up. Now we're asked to review the privacy and terms for Google. Nowadays, more and more people are being careful about the type of information they hand over when they're signing up for something on the internet. So my advice for you, instead of just selecting I agree to the terms of service and I agree to the privacy policy, is to have a look at more options. What these options are a set of questions to see whether or not you want to give your email and your internet browsing history to Google for free. My own personal opinion on this type of stuff is that really don't give this information away. So do you want Google to save your web activity, your Google searches and so on and so forth? I would say no, don't save. Move down. Do you want to show personalized ads or ads that aren't personalized? Again, I would say don't show me. YouTube history. Do you want Google to save your YouTube account every time you look at a music video or a movie or a TV show? Again, my own personal opinion is do not save my YouTube history. And then finally, nowadays, most of our phones, if you're using Google on your phone, it can track your location. If you don't want that to be saved to your Google account, as is the case here, just select Don't Save. These options send me occasional reminders. They're self-explanatory. You can decide whether or not you want Google to mail you every now and then. I prefer not to receive this type of email. These two options, you have no choice in the matter. Okay? If you want to set up a Google account, you have to agree to both of those. And it's the same, to be fair, with any email. If we were looking at Yahoo or Hotmail, a similar set of questions would exist. So now we go to create the account. Once we have selected Create Account, the following screen appears. Over on the left-hand side, we have Home, Personal Information, Date and Personalization, and some other information that relates to your account. But now, what we're going to do is go to access our email account. In this case, it's called Gmail. So the way we do that is by going over to the far right-hand side of the screen, and if you select this icon and come down here to where it says Gmail, it will open up our Gmail account. Once we select Open, we have this welcome screen to Gmail, and then we select Next. Choose a view. These are the sort of options that just change how the screen will look when you're using it. 9 times out of 10, it's fine just to accept default and then click OK. So now we have our Gmail screen. So up here we see Gmail. Down along the left hand side are the most important sections for our Gmail. Okay? And what they do is they show us our inbox. So this is any mails that have arrived. And also sent box. So these are mails that we have sent. One of the things you will notice now is that Google has already sent you an email. See here? We have it in dark, bold writing. The fact that it is dark, bold means that the mail has not been opened. Also, if you look up here where it says inbox, we can see the number 1. That means we have one mail. This email is a set of instructions from Google on how you go about finishing setting up your new Google account. To finish off this class, what I recommend you do is that you open up this email, have a read of it, and make some notes. Okay? To open up the email, all you need to do is put your arrow over it. You'll see that your arrow turns into a hand. Once you select that, you just click once, and it opens up the email account. And as you can see, we have a set of instructions here from Google, welcoming us to Google and looking at things like privacy settings and getting to know the Google app. In this instance, I'm going to leave it to you to read that information for yourself. And what we'll do then, in the next section, we're going to look at how we would go about sending an email.